Namaste and good morning, everyone. Let's do some prayers before we start our class. Om Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parbrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Bhur Swaha, Tat Savitra Varenayam, Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi, Diyo Yo Naha Prachodayat. Asto ma sadgamya, tamso ma jyotirgamya, mrityurma amritam gamya. Om sehna bhavatu, sehna bhunaktu, seviryam karvavahe, tejasvi navadhitamastu, ma vidvishavahe. Om shanti shanti shanti. Uddhava Gita. If you have the book, just open it on page number 691. This is a chapter 22. And in this chapter, Lord Krishna is talking about Jnana Yoga. Uddhava asked few questions in the beginning, and the rest of the chapter is Lord Krishna explaining what Jnana Yoga is. So verse number 26. Yatha nabho vae ambalambuhu bhu guner gataha gater vartuhu guner na sajjate tatha aksharam satvarajas tamo malar aham mate samsriti hetu bhi parama. The sky is never affected by the various qualities of the air, fire, water, and earth. So that means the sky means the space. The subtlest does not get affected by the grosser that pass through it, as well as such qualities at heat and cold which continually come and go with the seasons. Similarly, the supreme absolute truth is never tinged by the contaminations of the modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance, which cause the transformations of the false ego. Okay, see, among all those five elements, space is the subtlest, and he's giving us an analogy that the subtlest cannot get affected by the gross, and Atma or Paramatma is even subtler than that. In fact, that's a subtlest. There's nothing else subtler than that. So it does not get affected by the Satvikta, Rajsikta, or Tamsikta. You cannot say this is a Satvik Atma or a Rajsik Atma. Okay, Atma is a Atma. A liberated soul is not to be judged in terms of so-called material good qualities or faults. The example of the sky is given in this regard. The sky never mixes with anything. It is not dried by the air, burnt by fire, covered by dust, or influenced by the seasons, such as the heat of the summer or the cold of winter. Similarly, the Supreme Lord is never contaminated by the three material modes of nature. How clear the message is. If we forget it, then it's our fault. But these gurus of ours, the avatars, they just keep on telling us the same message. The absolute truth is unchanging and unaffected by material conditions, as is the liberated soul. Although the air blows everywhere and the elements of fire, earth, and water contract the sky, it never mixes with any of them. See, in the sky, sometimes we see, in the air, we see the dirt, but pretty soon it gets clean also. It doesn't mixes with it. The unlimited Supreme Lord is the master of material nature, whereas the infinitesimal living entities are covered by Maya. Let's look at verse number 27. Tathapihi sang parivarjniho guneshu maya rachiteshu tavat mad bhakti yogen dridhen yavad rajo nirasyet mana kashaya. Still, until one has completely eliminated from his mind all material contamination by undivided engagement in my devotional service. One must very carefully avoid associating with the modes of material nature, which are products of my illusory energy. Okay, so very clearly he is telling us that even though the Atma and Paramatma can never be contaminated, but while we are on the path, we got to be very careful, otherwise we can sink down. We will have the effect of the Tamsikta or the Rajsikta. A neophyte jnani should not whimsically try to imitate the behavior of a liberated soul. This warning is given in this and the next verses. The word rajo means attachment. The word guneshu means immaterial objects. Although the material nature is non-different from the Supreme Lord, one who has yet to conquer material desires should not unrestrictedly associate with the objects of the senses, declaring them to be non-different from the Lord. One who is aspiring to be Krishna consciousness should not loosely associate with women, claiming them to be non-different from the personality of Godhead. For by such imitations of the most advanced devotees, one will simply remain on the platform of material sense gratification. See, that's why we go through the certain sadhanas or the vrats also. So we are just making sure that we do not slip down. A neophyte devotee who presumes himself to be liberated is impelled by the mode of passion to become falsely proud of his position. As a result, he neglects the actual process of devotional service to the Lord. The conclusion is that devotees should always carefully avoid bad association. If one who is not firmly fixed in devotional service claims to be a liberated soul, he should be considered a pseudo-devotee who is driven by the mode of passion. Pseudo-devotees gradually become self-worshippers. This is the meaning of sahajya, or one who takes things very cheaply. So we got to make sure that we stay on the right platform. So the devotion is a love for God, not for the love for our own ego. So we don't want to become a pseudo devotees. We want to become the devotees of God only, not the devotee of our own ego. Okay. So verse number 28. Yatha meyo sadhu chikitsato nrinam puna puna santudati prarohana evam mato pakva kashay karam ku yoginam vidyati sarv sangam. This is verse number 28. Just as a disease that is not treated repeatedly recurs, causing one great distress. If the mind is not purified of all material contamination, then it will remain attached to material things and repeatedly torment the imperfect yogi. So clearly we are learning that the reason we want to increase the devotion is to purify our mind. So we got to always keep that in mind. Is my mind getting pure? Because when we are thinking, arrogance comes, then mind is not pure. So purity of the mind is again and again mentioned in our scriptures. The conditioned state of material existence is considered to be diseased condition of life, which requires treatment by the expert physician, the bona fide spiritual master. The disease of the heart is material attachment, and as long as this condition remains, one will continue to suffer the pangs of material existence. Even those who are supposedly engaged in the service of the Supreme Lord, if they stubbornly remain attached to wife, children, and so on, their material condition of life will continue. So this attachment with the relatives, attachment with the health and the wealth and everything else, we got to remember that real attachment should be only with the Lord. While taking care of everything else, doing the duties, but attachment only to Him. Otherwise, mind is not pure. Under the shelter of a pseudo-spiritual master, non-devotees embrace mental speculation and gross sense gratification under the influence of bad association. If one is treated by a physician who is not experienced, although the symptom of the disease may temporarily disappear, there is every possibility of a relapse. The conclusion is that it is essential to completely give up the association of sense enjoyers and those making a show of a false renunciation. When one's offense against the holy name of the Lord in the form of maintaining the false egoistic conception of I and mine is very prominent, the result is that one remains attached to his sons, wife, relatives, father, mother, wealth, and country. The practice of pseudo-devotional service cannot cure one's material disease. Even while serving Lord Hari, such as pseudo-devotees will find that his attachment for wife, children, and so on simply increases. Okay, so we got to keep that in mind. We are here to love God, to increase the intensity or the heat of our love for God. Verse number 29. Kuyogino ye vihat antraya manushe bhutes tridashopa srishtai te prapt nabhyas balena bhuyo yunjati yog nutukaram tantram. Sometimes the progress of a neophyte transcendentalist is impeded due to excessive attachment to family members or others who are sent by envious demigods. So demigods are what? Devatas. And we have seen that in our religious books. The Devatas, they will put a little trouble, create a trouble. The famous story about Vishwamitra and Menaka. However, on the strength of their spiritual advancement, such imperfect transcendentalists will resume their practice of yoga in the next life. So the momentum which they have gained, sometimes there is a break in there, but it doesn't go away. And that also we saw in Vishwamitra. Okay. They will never again be bound like ordinary materialists in the network of karma. Okay. So sometimes there is definitely a little hurdle, but because of this sadhana, they'll catch up again. Or we will catch up again. This is all for us. We have been on this path for a long time, actually. Okay. Sometimes sannyasis and others become bewildered by friends, well-wishers, or flattering disciples that are sent by the demigods to embarrass them. Therefore, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it has been stated, members of the renounced order who fail to uproot the last traces of material desire in their hearts remain impure. So that means this attachment is the impurity of the heart, attachment to the relatives or the wealth or the fame. It is to be understood that a sannyasi's position is completely distinct from that of others who are engaged in devotional service. This is confirmed in the Vedas, yasmit tadesam na priyam yaten manushyaha vidhu. No human being is dear to a sannyasi. Okay. So sannyasi does not get attached to the human beings. He knows what is the real source, where I'm going, what is the end. Not another being, let alone the material wealth, the Maya. The conditioned souls who work hard for the satisfaction of their senses are tightly bound by the network of fruitive activities. When such conditioned souls take to the practice of yoga, the envious demigods may place obstacles on their path by sending flattering disciples or bodily relations. Although an imperfect transcendentalist may thus fall down from the yoga practice, he will resume it in his next life on the strength of his accumulated merit. So that means we should not get, we should definitely stay alert, but we should not be fearful that, oh, I have done so much sadhana, it will be gone away. Because the minute we are fearful, then we are walking on the path of tamsikta. Be alert, okay? Stay vigilant, but at the same time, do not become fearful. The sadhana which you have done, whatever you have accumulated, it does not go away. Okay? Verse number 30. Kuroti karam kriyate cha jantuhu ke napye asocho chodit aniptat na tatra vidvan prakrityau sthitau api nivrit trishnaha swasukh anubhutiyah. The conditioned living entity performs fruitive work and suffers and enjoys the reactions of his karma. So everything is actually, if you look at it, it's a network of the karma. That's why the fundamental of Hinduism is the law of karma. Law of karma. Okay? So it's called a karam pradhan. Thus, he continues to work fruitively right up to the very moment of his death. One who is wise, however, after experiencing transcendental ecstasy, gives up all material desires and refrains from engaging in fruitive work. Unlike karmis, jnanis do not allow themselves to become entangled in the bondage of fruitive work. So there's a karmis and jnanis. Karmis means you want to do your duties. But jnani, with the help of the knowledge, because this chapter is about Jnana Yoga, jnani understands, karam I must do, but I should not get entangled with the fruits. See, unlike karmis, so karmis sometimes can get entangled. So unlike karmis, jnanis do not allow themselves to become entangled in the bondage of fruitive work. See, that's why in Bhagavad Gita we saw there's a Karam Yoga chapter. Then after that, what was the next chapter? Jnana Karam Sannyas Yoga. That Jnana was there. The Jnana is the one, the knowledge that we are the Atma. And everybody else is the Atma too. That is the Jnana we need to cultivate. So if we stay only at a karmi level, we can get entangled. I am better karmi than you are. I do more service. I help more. But when we have the Gyan added in there, then Lord Krishna is saying that you will not, there's a chance that you will not get entangled in the bondage. And the real purpose over here is, real goal is to get out of the entanglement. Because Satvik Karam, Seva, this and that, sure we should do, but if we just do it without understanding why we are doing it, we can get entangled again and again. Because good Karam, without understanding the Gyan, they will give us a good result. the good result will also bind us. Good result, sure, go into the heaven. That is a bondage too. So good result are the chains also. They are good chains. They are chains made out of gold, if you want to say it, but nonetheless, they are chains. But when we have a jnana, which is telling us, then we break through these gold chains also. Because a lot of people, they say that, no, I believe in only in karmas. I'm going to do good karma. Sure. Gyan doesn't say that you should not do good karma. Good karma you must do. But keep in mind what the goal is. Let me read it again. Unlike karmis, jnanis do not allow themselves to become entangled in the bondage of a fruitive work. Fruitive work is what? Sakam. This is being explained in this verse. All conditioned souls are working hard in this world under the direction of the three modes of material nature. By their activities, they determine their their future body, whether that of a demigod, human being, dog, or hog. Okay? So it's just like a little good karmas, they'll take us to the Devlok. The mixture of the karmas, this Manushya Lok. And Tamsik karma will definitely bring us even lower than that. And that's what he means over here by dog or a hog. Although there's a great risk of becoming degraded, fruitive workers go on with their self-centered activities up until the point of death. However, those who are actually wise renounce fruitive activities even while living in the material world, and thus they free themselves from the bondage of karma. It's not that they don't do the karma, but they do the karma with this knowledge. Materialistic persons engage in fruitive activities so that they can easily enjoy sense gratification. On the other hand, one who is on the platform of self-realization does not regard himself as an enjoyer of the material world. So the kartapan and the bhogtapan, we got to detach from that. Okay, that's why to understand those three chapters in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, 4, and 5, Karam Yoga, Gyan Karam Sannyas Yoga, and Karam Sannyas Yoga. All that knowledge is in there, but over here is again being. See, Bhagavad Gita is also words of Lord Krishna to Arjun during that great battle. And these are also words of Lord Krishna to Uddhava when he was about to leave his body. We got to remember that. There's no contradiction. So in fact, there's a lot of clarity in these verses. So materialistic persons engage in fruitive activities so that they can enjoy sense gratification. On the other hand, one who is on the platform of self-realization does not regard himself as an enjoyer of the material world. Rather, he regards the entire creation as an expansion of the Lord's potency. And he sees himself as the Lord's humble servant. Okay? So this is how, see, when we take prasad also, when we drink Chitnamat also, it's not that we should not enjoy it, but we got to remember this is just a prasad. These are the remnants. Whatever we offered, we are getting something back. Enjoy it. But who is enjoying it? We got to always remember, it's not the Atma who's enjoying it. Atma is always blissful. Atma is like Paramatma. There is no shade of Tamsikta or Rajsikta or any kind of a color in it. It's all pure, it's all blissful. It's only the Jivatma. So we got to remember, what are we identifying ourselves with? Let's do one more verse, then we'll discuss it. Tishtantam asinam ut vrajantam shyanam ukshantam adantam annam swabhavam anyat kim apihimanam atmanam atmasta matirna ved. One whose consciousness is absorbed in thought of the Lord does not even understand how his body is acting. While walking, sitting, standing, lying down, passing urine, eating, or doing anything else, he simply thinks that body is acting according to its acquired nature. So it's like a clear distinction between the body and who I am. Eyes are seeing, mouth is speaking, ears are hearing, legs are walking. So what? They are doing according to their nature. I am separate. I am different. I am the Sakshi. That is the Gyan. One who is wise remains aloof from the functions of the material body. Sure, all day long, we cannot do that. We are not there yet. Sure, when we become an active meditator, we'll do that. That means we are actively engaged in this world, but we are meditating. But right now, passive meditation should take us towards this. This is what is being explained in this verse. One who is fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness would hardly notice even if someone passed urine on his body. One whose intelligence is fixed on the Supreme Lord hardly remembers that he has a material body. So much detachment from the material body. At least few minutes a day, we should have this kind of a feeling. When we are praying, when we are serving, when we are meditating, or even when we are walking outside, we can easily do that. Bring your mind again and again between the distinction of this physical body and who I am. Consciously we got to do it, then it becomes our nature, because this is the reality. A self-realized soul does not take part in the activities of material enjoyment or artificial renunciation, because all of his activities are dovetailed in the service of Lord Krishna. So much absorbed in serving the Lord. Although he is detached from the functions of the material body, he enthusiastically engages his material body in the service of the Lord. So this body is just an instrument, and whether it's a physical body or a subtle body, the complete body is just an instrument in serving him. Because this body has been given to us by this material nature. And who owns the material nature? God does. It's not ours, it's his anyway. He can keep us in any condition because it's his. And in return, all we have to do is just to serve him. In fact, in the Puranas, there are several places it's mentioned as a human being when we were in the womb of our mothers. In the dark, wet place, we prayed to God at that time. God, this time around, please take me out of this darkness. I will devote all my time and energy in serving you only. and remembering you only. But the sad part is that we come out here and then we get entangled into this Maya again. We forget what the purpose of life is. The real purpose of life is to love God only, wholeheartedly. And by remembering, see, this is what the Gyan is, by remembering who we are, by remembering what we are supposed to do, by remembering what the purpose of life is. So this is the Gyan in detail, again and again. Lord Krishna is giving it to us. Just look at how much effort these avatars, these gurus, they put for us. Let's stop it here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaye Purnameva Vishishyate. Om Shanti 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 Om. Thank you very much.